Hi friends, my name is Courtney and welcome to my kitchen. Today we're making slow cooker pork chops with mushrooms and onions. Let's get started. So first things first, I'm going to heat up my cast iron skillet and use just a little bit of avocado oil. You could use whatever oil you like to use. I'm using that. And then I'm going to be using bone-in pork chops. We're using 6 bone-in pork chops. You could also use boneless. Boneless are so much easier for serving, but when it comes to flavor, bone-in pork chops are going to be the better flavor when you're doing a slow cooker. You just want to be careful with the bones, and if any get loose, you want to remove those before serving. I just want to take a moment to thank you for watching our channel, and I hope you consider subscribing. We have some delicious recipes coming to you next week. We have one that is my favorite weeknight meal, which is teriyaki pork stir fry, which we paired with some broccoli, serve it over rice. And then we also have some Instant Pot black beans, which are perfect for the freezer. Then we're going to add some salt and pepper. You could also use some granulated garlic and granulated onion on your pork chops. You could also use some paprika or whatever seasonings you prefer. And then once those pork chops are easily able to be lifted off the skillet, you're going to flip them. We're just browning them. We are not cooking these fully throughout at all. So I am using 6. I've browned 3 and then I set those to the side. Then we're going to put our cream of chicken soup, which I make homemade. You can find the recipe on my site. I'll link it below. And I'm putting that in. I'm put about equivalent of a can of cream of mushroom soup or can of cream of chicken soup. You could use either. Then we're going to use some chicken broth with a bunch of seasonings. I'm using granulated onion, granulated garlic, celery seed, and then salt, pepper, and a little bit of thyme. I also am using a large onion that I've sliced and 2 cups of mushrooms. If you don't like mushrooms, you can leave those out. You don't like onions, you could leave those out as well. I do recommend adding something. You could use something like string beans, potatoes. Some people like to add those things as well. And I also would suggest celery or carrots. So things that can give your pork chops more flavor. We also have a really delicious recipe for slow cooker pork chops and potatoes that I will link below. And when you're cutting and adding vegetables in there, you just want to keep in mind that they do break down. So if you were using something like potatoes, you want to cut them nice and rustic chops. That's why I like the onions. They cook down nicely, as well as the mushrooms. Now I'm just really making sure I get all of those pork chops covered and smothered in all of that mixture that we did. Then the pork chops actually release a juice on the plate. So I'm also going to use that because we don't want to waste any of that flavor. We're going to cover it and then we're going to cook it on low for about 6 to 8 hours. I don't know why my slow cooker does this. I'm hoping it's low, but yeah, that's what we're doing. So our pork chops are all done. If you like to thicken the gravy, you could add a little bit of a cornstarch slurry and let it sit for a little bit, and that thickens it up nicely. I like to serve the pork chops whole, and as you can see, they're a little bit falling apart, but this is ready to enjoy, and I can't wait to plate it up. So here it is, it's all done and ready to enjoy. Let's give it a taste. So I used bone-in pork chops because bone-in has a little bit more flavor, and it is still fall off the bone. It's super tender, fork tender, as you can see. I can easily just grab a little piece. I don't need a fork and a knife. I've got a little bit of everything on my fork. Let's give it a try. It is so flavorful. The pork is so tender. The mushrooms, I do wish I added more mushrooms. But my kids hit or miss with it, so it really depends on their mood. I'm gonna go enjoy the rest of this with my family. I hope you guys enjoyed this recipe. I'll see you soon. Bye.